behalf of Institute of Directors, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 26th International Conference on Environment Management and Climate Change, here in the Garden City and Silicon Valley of India, Namma Bengaluru. Let's continue to give a big round of applause.
Rising temperatures and unpredictable natural occurrences. The pertinent question before us is not merely what must be done, but who must lead this revolution. The answer is loud and clear. All leadership begins at the top. In boardrooms, in government chambers, and in civic action. Directors, policymakers, and institutions must reimagine their role, if I may put it that way, not just as boards as self-appointed stewards of value, but as self-appointed guardians of the sole inhabitable planet known in the world today. This conference will seek to excite that dialogue. We are all here today not just to aim at exchanging knowledge, but fostering a collective commitment, something that links corporate governance with climate action.
As a developer in this country, we believe we have a moral responsibility to making our cities more livable, and that means cleaner, greener, and smarter cities. As the quote goes, we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. We hope to build a better Bangalore and a better India, and we hope that our journey will make you proud. Thank you for having me, and best wishes for a very, very successful conference.
Thank you so much.
Since we are on the path of Viksit Bharat, which require the country to go in excess of 7% annually for 20 years. So in the same proportion, the steel sector is also going to grow. So Ministry of Steel has set out target for 2030 and 2047. So 2030, the target of steel production is 300 million tons. But we are going to cross that. I'm pretty certain that it's going to be in the vicinity of 340 million tons. And similarly, 2047, the target is 500 million tons. So again, because why I'm saying that? Since we started developing late, so our steel consumption per capita is low. That has another implications. The other implication is that since our steel consumption is low, per capita is low, we are not generating too much of scrap. Scrap, had we been generating scrap, steel made from scrap with renewable energy does not emit any carbon dioxide.
Biggest picture level, I would say Australia and India, we share the vulnerabilities that climate change creates, and what I mean by that is things like forest fires, floods, extreme heat. All of those we feel, all of those impact our societies, impact our activities. And because of that, we need to act domestically and we need to act internationally. I'm not a climate change expert. That is not my background. I'm an Australian official who is meant to be able to articulate what we do across a great range of sectors. But climate change cuts across so many of those. Domestically, one of the areas our government is working on is how to transition our economy towards a net zero future. And that requires a lot of quite bold policy decisions. We are increasing our renewable energy generation. We want to hit 82% by 2030. Some states are there already, some are still coming. We are pushing our EV national uptake scheme, so we want to see more EVs on the road. Fuel efficiency standard, all of these of course impact people's lives as well as business choices. We've got a long-standing, very simply named mechanism called a safeguard mechanism. It targets our biggest emissions producers. They're responsible for about 30% of our national emissions. they are required to reduce their emissions year by year by about 5%. So
for all living things around us, especially.
So every industry, whether it is steel or oil or construction or real estate or whatever, they continuously had pressures from the public, from the government and from the lawmakers to reform themselves. Okay. So this became a lot of challenges to the board. So board interventions became an essential part of functioning of the organizations. The boards were held responsible by SEBI. Okay? And this is one of the positive changes which happened in India, for that matter. I've listed some areas where board interventions are essential.
So it is high time the boards take cognizance of the impact of IAQ for healthier environment leading to business transformation. We appeal that Indian boards should be looking at that manage the indoor spaces, manage the indoor environments, and to improve the business transformation, which will provide better indoor spaces for employees, leading to better productivity from the employees, employee retention, savings, and regulatory compliances.
Boards need to engage with public sector. Boards need to engage with the voluntary services. Boards need to engage with communities and be able to also influence tomorrow's workforce. So skilling should not happen on its own. Skilling should not happen by accident. Skilling needs to happen by design. And that design is the one that predicts who comes into the corporate world tomorrow to contribute the utmost. AI is going to change the world we live in. It's already doing that. It is considered to be one of the biggest disruptors that's coming our way. How ready are we to incorporate tomorrow's leaders? Somebody mentioned this morning that we are borrowing the world we live in from future generations. It is also time to bring them in to the solutions pathway that allows us to provide the kind of leadership that is required to address the changes that are coming. Thank you very much.
So, we are the designers for Chennai Phase 2, Phase 1 extension, and we did a lot of innovations in the last 10 years to bring down. There was also a newspaper story for Chennai Metro Phase 2. The cost to do that was 88,000 crores initially, and it was brought down by 25,000 crores. So this all happens once you are passionate about doing something really to reduce the cost, but finally it turns out to be a huge saving in terms of carbon footprint. So we are doing with similar things with a lot of metros here, and we'll continue doing that.
So I'm Sonal Chaudhary, and my question is, how are boards strategizing to balance the pressure between short-term profit targets and long-term ESG investments?
I have always been, advocate of profitability as a byproduct of business. If we are doing the right thing, then profitability should not be a concern. So if we create a very positive working environment, then profitability is not a pressure. Short-term or long-term profit will come. And it is all depending on what kind of atmosphere we are creating. Even in short-term, we can exceed our goals.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for all the distinguished speakers right here.
Good afternoon to all the directors who have come here, all the senior officers and stakeholders across this country, across the globe, representing all the continents across the globe in Bangalore. Climate resilience, as such, we have to think about low carbon emitting vehicles thanks to EV buses. We have not gone to CNG. I don't know why, but actually the Central Institute of Road Technology has recently identified that there is no much of a difference when it comes to financial positives when it comes to diesel buses and CNG buses. So we are directly transitioning ourselves from diesel buses to electric buses. This grand plan to have 10,000 buses running in the city, which is going to be second next only to Delhi, for a city like Bengaluru, is very good.
How do you integrate your climate change risk into enterprise risk management? Enterprise risk management, for all other aspects of the business is now more or less set and in place. But as far as climate change risk which is concerned, how these get reported out, and this becomes very important for the organization because these are things that happen on a day-to-day basis where we see disruptions affecting us, and how these are being well anticipated by our entire teams and are able to be mitigated adequately in time by the actions you are taking on sustainability.
Today, the Govt stands at a crossroads. On one hand, we are confronted with the escalating impacts of climate change. On the other, we witness conflicts and crises unfolding in different parts of the globe. In such uncertain times, the call for responsible, forward-looking leadership, especially at the board level, has never been more urgent. Board have a duty not only to respond to climate risk, but to drive the transformation that climate leadership demands. As a leading public sector consultancy engineering firm, MECON plays a pivotal role in advancing India's climate governance and sustainable industrial development. With its integrated expertise in project design, environment compliance, and energy efficient solutions, MECON actively supports industries in transitioning towards low carbon, resource efficient operations. The board at MECON ensures that sustainability principles are not only embedded in its internal governance, but also reflected in strategic collaborations with clients.
Actually trained women forklift operators to drive these. On a lighter note, my women forklift operators don't drink and come to work. They don't chew gutka. They're a lot more disciplined and they're hungry to prove themselves. So I believe it's just good business getting in women forklift drivers. I'm not doing a favor to anyone. I've got a business to run. I just feel they're doing a fantastic job. And we are actually doing this not just out here, we've also doing this with Balco in Korba. We are the first company to employ transgenders to drive forklifts, because this is again, I think, a great opportunity to bring about real diversity. And this is what I think, in our very own small way, we're trying to do ESG in action.
Thank you, IOD and the panels for sitting over here, for giving the opportunity to discuss about the climate change issues, which are being most alarming, and that needs to be addressed, otherwise to sustain the business in our country. As we move on, we know our commitment towards our steel production. The National Steel Policies talks about that we need to produce 300 million tons of goods steel by 2030. And SAIL is one of the biggest stakeholders for manufacturing of steel, because SAIL produces almost 20 million tons of steel, which we are aiming to make almost 35 million tons by 2030. With this, the SAIL's commitment to produce, to have a sustainable business, which will also protect for the protections, the commitments to the environment and for the future generations. That is the most important way, how we need to do this business in a right way, so that at least in future, the steel which will be manufactured can be classified as a green steel.
Can somebody elaborate on other industries, because there's a bigger impact from oil, and what is India's strategy on that?
Yes. So you can check the Ministry of Power website, especially about the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. They have made a very clear document very recently. They have delineated 7 sectors where it is mandatory, and there are 5 other sectors where it is made voluntary. I think if you refer the document, it is very clear document. It is just a 40-page document which will clearly guide you on that. In the Ministry of Power, Government of India's website, it is very much uploaded. Please browse through that.
Well, once again, a big thank you to all our partners and supporters for their overwhelming support for this very special program. We are extremely grateful to our gold partners, Bisleri International Private Limited, AAF International, Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board, Jindal Steel and Power Limited, Afcons Infrastructure Limited, our silver partners REC Limited, Sistra India, and our bronze partners Central Warehousing Corporation, NLC India Limited, Karnataka Soaps and Detergents Limited, Karnataka State Minerals Corporation Limited, ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel India Limited, Switch Mobility, the Singarini Collieries Company Limited, Bharat Electronics Limited, Karnataka Rural Infrastructure Development Limited, Mekon Limited. Well, also, our associate partners are Tata Motors Limited, Gemini Equipment and Rentals Private Limited, Steel Authority of India Limited, Mysore Sales International Limited, and in association with World Environment Foundation and IOD Foundation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, once again a hearty warm welcome to you.